Hey guys, Brianna here. Live Big, Love Bigger, diving into chapter 9 and other lies that we tell ourselves. This is a great chapter to get involved in or maybe sit on the sidelines a little bit. We're going to explore some of the burnout that we experience not only as individuals, but as parents, as wives, as mothers. And Kathryn really just takes us through how her family and even herself had to just hit the pause button on all of the things that they were involved in, and the shedding of light that she got from her 10-year-old son when they said they were going to give up some activities. And he brings up, baseball was starting to stress me out at 10 years old. And so this is just a great chapter to really stop and examine that calendar that we all have. Whether you are a planner person and you write it all down in your cute planner and you carry it with you, or you've got the wall calendar that's color coordinated, either way, this is the perfect time getting ready to go into the school year and just really stop and evaluate all of the activities that we are doing, all of the commitments that we have. And if you're feeling that overwhelming pressure, that overwhelming stress of everything you have to get done, you have to be here, you have to do this, you have to be involved with this is the perfect time to prioritize those things. Here's that type A personality of make a list and do exactly that. Hopefully it's not more than 10, but it could be, and really prioritize what is the most important or most valuable activity or commitment that you have that you do not want to give up. Maybe it's your favorite, maybe it's the most impactful, maybe it is your escape from everything else. And take that list and look at it and see where you can maybe cut some things down or cut back on some things. And then do it for every individual in the house. Because at the end of the day, we think we can do it all. We think we are super moms, we are super women. And for some of us, our lists may be short. Maybe we are already at a point where we have learned to not overcommit ourselves, and we manage what we have on our plate and we shuffle things around. And I think that's awesome because I start to look at things and it's crazy. We finished up ball, a month ago, and school is getting ready to start, and I miss it. I miss watching my kids play a sport. It's been a little bit of a lull, but we have been so busy with other things. And I'm so glad we didn't try to fill in these other things and that we did just kind of take July to pull back the reins a little bit, because there's plenty of time. There's plenty of other activities that are going to be starting. And so right now, what we're really in the middle of is evaluating, okay, what is the priority? We can't play every single sport. We can't do every single activity. So what is the one or two things that are most important to my kids? And then let's look at the grand central station schedule calendar that kind of runs our household with everything we have going on. And just, the taking the time to make sure that we are fulfilled within the activities that we want to do, the commitments, just all of the things. I'm to the point right now. It's that guilt of there are some things later in the fall and into winter that I'm trying to figure out how can I make work. And a couple of them are different conferences, or again, other books that I want to make sure that we get to read, that I want to share with you. There's Bible studies that we're looking at that I'm partnering with some people in our parish on doing. And so how can I make the things that are most important to me work? And then how can I filter out maybe some of these other things that, while they're still important, maybe they're not on the top of the priority list. And so I love the fact that there are times where Kathryn says, you know what, as a family, like, these are things we're going to do. And when she says we're going to go on our church excursion, and they step into the church and her kids are just half of them are whining, they're throwing a fit. But her and her husband realized, like, this is what her family needs. This is what they all need to kind of decompress. They need that spiritual time with Jesus. And they're taking that opportunity to be there as a family. And yes, there may have been tears. Yes, there may have been whining, but there was something to be gained out of it. And that's a hard thing sometimes as a parent or as a spouse, that we have to speak up and we have to say, this is what we need. This is our reset button. This is what we're going to do. And we're not going to give in on these things. Because at the end of the day, God entrusts us to take care of our families. And so I feel like this is a very easy society that we live in sometimes. And we let our kids kind of dictate what it is we're going to do, or what adventures we're going to take. And I think that there's got to be a healthy balance there. And there's also a lot of times where we back out of stuff because we don't think our kids are up for it. And that is probably my number one misstep sometimes in talking about things like this, because there are so many times where we would give on really doing something that we wanted to do or an experience because we're like, oh, it's going to interrupt nap time, or, they're not going to enjoy it, or there's going to be a meltdown. We pile on these what if situations rather than just taking the helm and being the captain of our ship and saying, no, this is what we're going to do. And a perfect example of that was, we started out our vacation last week, and we had been in the car together, 12, 13 hours, and we had stopped. We weren't quite to our destination. Kids were going bonkers. We were trying to find some place to eat, check into our hotel room for the night. And the next day, before we could get to our destination, I was just on my phone searching, like, okay, what should we do? What should we do? Because we couldn't get into our Airbnb until 4:00 on Saturday. And at one point I just wanted to give up and say, it's going to impede on this. And, all the meltdowns that had already happened that day, and everybody's just exhausted. And I was to a point, I just wanted to give up. I just wanted to say, we'll get there, we'll go to the beach, and then we'll be done. And I went to sleep, give it to God and go to sleep. Got up the next morning, refreshed and renewed, looked at my husband and said, okay, let's do this. Let's go explore. Let's go to this place. Let's go have some fun. And we're going to wing it. We're going to figure it out with our 21-month-old. And, we'll do what we can, physically what we can do. We went and saw the USS Alabama. And so, I put all this pressure on myself of, well, we're not going to get to go down in the submarine, and we're not going to do this, and it's going to be so hot, and, all of our stuff's in our car. I just kept making excuse after excuse. And finally, the next morning, I was like, let's just go. We're here. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I knew our son would enjoy it, and they were kind of grumbling at first. But when we got there, when you pull around the corner and they saw it all, they just lit up. And so while it wasn't perfect, we didn't get to do every single thing. We didn't get to go exploring, which in a way I'm not too upset, because the sub, they said, it was super hot. It's a tin can cooking out in the sun all day in the water. We had so much fun as a family. And the kids are already asking when we can go back, when they can go explore more. And so I'm so glad that we finally just said, let's do it. Sometimes you have to do stuff without a plan, and you just have to make the most of it, make memories, enjoy that time together. And so the biggest thing that I got out of this chapter was, it's okay to say no to some things. It's okay to not have a perfect plan. It's okay to wipe the calendar clean. It's okay to hit the reset button and just have that time with your family. Put it in God's hands. Give it that guidance. Let him direct you on what you need right then and there. And there's a lot of times he's telling us because that we get to that burnout, and that's where he's saying, hey, you've hit your maximum capacity. Let's dial it back a little bit. And so I really appreciated that. And that's a reminder that I need sometimes, is that you can't do it all. Or where can you find that compromise to say, okay, maybe we're not going to spend an entire day doing said activity, but how can we, allot for a couple hours? Or again, maybe we do one sports team, this season instead of 2 or 3, and then the next season we move on to the next one. So I hope that you guys got a lot out of this chapter. I hope that if you have felt that weight or that pressure, that you've been able to let go of some of that guilt. Maybe you've been able to, like I said, hit the reset button, or this gives you that opportunity to. And maybe it's a great time to have a family meeting and sit down and really ask each person around the table what's most important to them to do, because you may find out that the 10-year-old at the table is stressed out from baseball. And hey, you know what? That's okay, because baseball isn't going anywhere. All of these things aren't going anywhere. And so you can't be the best version of you and give the best time commitment for these things if you can't prioritize them. So for this chapter, some of the questions that we've got: filling our schedules full of things is a badge of honor for many, but sometimes we feel like we're in too deep. When did you pull the plug on something because you felt stressed, and how did it make you feel? Did you get that relief? Did you have this guilt in the beginning? Did it, cause an issue within the family, but it was exactly what your family needed? Question 2, intention in our families looks very different. How do you find your peace? What activities lead you there? So again, it's going back to that prioritizing. What is most important to you and each individual in the family? And then go down the list. Question number 3. In chapter 9, Kathryn shares how she felt guilted into joining various extracurriculars. Everything we do has a cost. Do you feel like a slave to your schedule? So again, go get out that planner, go get out that big, beautiful calendar on the wall that's color coded, and take a look and see, is there time scheduled in there for you, for your family, as to just be a family? Maybe you add that in there. And then number 4, identify some interests of your family. What's a less stressful and less expensive way to enjoy them? So again, it doesn't have to be this big, expensive, we're going here and we're buying tickets and we're doing all of these things. It can be as simple as, let's go visit some churches. Let's go visit. We had family that drove out to Oakley, where my husband's from, this past week to explore Little Jerusalem. So are there local other little things around your area or that aren't too far that you can go do together? So I hope this one was helpful. Again, thank you for the grace for being a little bit late on this one, time constraints, but again, and other lies we tell ourselves. So I hope you guys are having a great Sunday, and I'll see you later. Bye.